kind of want to delve into these rules of engagement because when I do talk to people and I say, well, so what does happen when you start talking, or why are you not communicating? And they'll tell me, well, we just usually just get in a big fight, or one person will shut down. And so I just give them these tools as kind of a teaching moment. And then at the end, I'm going to ask them, what do you personally need to work on? Don't think about your partner, think about yourself. So I'm just going to go through these. Number one is that we are a team. Okay. You're always on the same team. You're not on competing teams, right? It's not a power struggle. And the underlying principle for this one is that we always have each other's best interest at heart. That means we always have each other's back. We're always for each other. We're never against each other. So sometimes when I do ask people, do you feel like your partner has your best interest at heart? If they say no, then I know we're in trouble, just because if you don't believe that, then you really can't trust them, right? To the degree that you trust someone is the degree you can be intimate with them. So somewhere along the line, maybe that trust has been broken down and you need to get back on the same team, right? And need to be not on competing teams. So that's number one. Number two is one issue at a time. So you don't want to start talking about something and then all of a sudden you bring in other things up, and it's like, wait a minute, what are we talking about? Stay on point, right? It's like that happens because sometimes if something hasn't been resolved, somebody can get triggered and you're talking about something and then they bring something else up from the past because it hasn't been resolved. So you really just want to be able to focus on one thing at a time, talk through that one, and then you can move on to the next. So one issue at a time. And then number three is stay engaged. You don't want to shut down. Okay, a lot of people do. They will shut down. You don't want to withdraw. It's called stonewalling. And this can happen if you don't feel like you're being heard, or if the other person's getting really emotional, starts yelling. Some people just check out, right? And so you really want to be emotionally present and stay that way. Unless you're upset, there is a time to step away, and we'll talk about that. But it is a principle. I think I mentioned Dr. John Gottman last week as well. He wrote a book. He's written many books, but the 7 Principles for Making a Marriage Work is an excellent book that I recommend. And one of those is that you always turn toward each other, not away. And the example that they used, the story was, you've got 2 people in a room. One person's reading a book. The other person looks out the window and says, oh, that's a beautiful cardinal. And the other person looks up and goes, oh, yeah, that is a beautiful cardinal. Instead of saying something like, well, can't you see I'm reading, leave me alone, right? Because there's always this desire to connect. There's always this desire to turn toward. So staying engaged with each other. The next 4 come under this abbreviation of LUV, which stands for listen, understand, validate. And I do believe this is a game changer when it comes to communication. So the L is listen. We've already talked about that, right? You interrupt. You just want to listen. You don't want to just think about what you're going to say next. And you want to be able to mirror back what they say. You're also trying to understand them. Like, you're trying to understand their perspective, their viewpoint, their opinion, and put yourself in their shoes, right? It's like, help me understand, why do you think this way? Why did you come up with this idea? Why do you have this opinion? And you're seeking first to understand before being understood. And then you're understanding not only how they think, but you're out understanding how they feel. So the next thing would be to empathize. So empathy is not sympathy. It's the ability to feel what another person is feeling. So it's kind of like, some people have that off the chart. They're just super sensitive. They just pick up people's feelings. But if you know someone well, like you probably know your partner, you see their body language, you listen to the tone of their voice, you can pick up how they feel, right? And you really want to be able to empathize and say, listen, I get you and I feel you. And then the next part of that is validation. And I think people think they have to agree to validate, and it's not the same thing. So validation is basically saying, look, I understand where you're coming from. I see what you're saying. I understand how you feel. You're validating the person, even if you don't necessarily agree with them. So you don't have to agree to validate, because what you're saying is, look, because I love you and I care about you, what you think and feel is important to me. It shows a lot of respect, instead of saying, well, that's stupid, where you just don't respect them, I guess, in what they're saying. You're not validating them. So that listen, understand, validate, when people start doing that, they start seeing their communication really, really improve. And then the next one is the timeout. And this is really, really important as well, because I do think a lot of people get heated and they get angry and they think you can keep talking to each other, but somehow they're going to be able to work something out. But you'll never solve anything talking to each other when you're angry. So you have to understand, listen, we have to stop you from getting too heated. And, you have to communicate that. So I've taken some anger management classes, and they like a scale of 1 to 5, and I personally like a scale of 1 to 10, because if you're on that scale and you're a 1 or 2, you're probably aggravated, edgy, a little irritated, maybe you're tired. But if it starts escalating and you're getting about a 5 or 6, and you're on your way to a 10, like some people can go from 0 to 10 and nothing flat, it's like, hold on, time out. So it takes some self-discipline, some self-awareness. It really is an anger management tool when you realize I have to step away, and you go calm down. I mean, that's the whole purpose. So I will always ask people at this point, what do you do to calm yourself down when you're angry? Some people are like, I got nothing. I mean, I don't know. Or, some people tell me, well, I work out, which I think is fantastic. Anger is such a volatile emotion that we have to release it in a healthy way. We don't want to hold that stuff in. So exercising, doing something physical like running, walking, cleaning, some people will say, listen to music, play a video game, get your mind off of it maybe, talk to a trusted friend, right? A trusted friend that's not going to gossip or say anything. But I always encourage people, you've got to let go of it. So maybe go and write a letter and just let it rip. Just say everything you feel, let all your emotions out, don't hold it in, and then process. Like you can go back and say, now if I was really going to give this letter to this person, I probably would leave this part out, I would edit this, I wouldn't say this quite the same way. But now you've released all your emotions, you process them, you do have your bullet points, you are ready to actually have a conversation, you know what you want to say. So you don't want to hold that anger in, right? Anger is a very strong, volatile emotion, and it can cause physical damage. They've linked hypertension to anger, high blood pressure, even heart attacks. So that's just a great tool to be able to go calm yourself down. Breathing is excellent. Lots of people do breathing exercises as well. And I know Navy SEALs, before they go into combat, I've heard that they do 10 slow breaths, breathe through your nose 4 counts, out your mouth 8. So you just breathe, right? And you just calm yourself down, close your breath. Exactly.
I'm trying to breathe. Wait, how do I do it?
Oh, right. You breathe in your nose and then out 8. Yep. It really does. It slows your heart rate down. It gets oxygen in your brain. It's just a great thing to do just in general, because we honestly don't breathe that deeply. I'm a singer, and so I've learned how to breathe with my diaphragm. And I try to, I've taught a lot of people how to do that, because we breathe so shallow. We really don't breathe deeply, and it's just really, really healthy to do that. So it also helps your emotions. Once you have said to this person, look, I'm going to take a time out, you have to communicate it, right? And the other person has to give you permission, right? Instead of saying, no, you're not going to walk away from me. We're going to do this right now. I'm like, please understand, I want to talk to you, but I'm too upset. I'm going to start saying stuff I don't mean, stuff I regret, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go calm myself down, and let's get back together. And the next thing is you're going to put a deadline on it. Like, give me 15 minutes, give me a half an hour. Let's talk about this after dinner. But you both have to be ready, right? The timing is so important. You're both ready to sit down and talk, because now you're calm and you can actually talk. So timeout is huge. It's really a game changer too. And I know I teach this to people, and it takes a while to start a new habit, right? It's like you go into your regular things that you would normally do, and then you catch yourself and go, wait a minute, I need to take a time out now. And when people start doing that, it really helps them, first of all, not do damage, because if you're speaking to each other when you're angry, that's when you're saying things that can get mean. And so the next one is no personal fouls. Number 9, no personal fouls. So what is a personal foul? If you think about a football game, right, it's hitting below the belt, breaking the rules, doing something illegal, either intentionally or not, to hurt somebody. So you're only going to do personal fouls if you're mad, right? You're not going to do that if you're calm. So the examples I give is screaming and yelling is a personal foul. Swearing, nobody wants to be cussed out. Name calling, if you start calling each other names, you're hitting below the belt, that's a personal foul. Saying stuff like you always, you never, right? Because nobody always or never is anything. You want to have a growth mindset about yourself and the other person. So don't do that. No third-party testimonials. Don't bring other people into the discussion. Well, my brother says X, Y, Z, whatever. Leave other people out of it. And then no sexual body language, right? So the rolling of the eyes, that kind of stuff. You know, you want to be no disrespectful speech and no disrespectful body language, no personal fouls. And then number 10, we're getting close to the end. I don't know how much time we have. We doing okay?
We still got 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Excellent. Okay, so number 10 is that you're always looking for the win-win. So if one of you wins and one of you loses, you both lose. So you always want to have a win-win for each other. It's like we want to walk away from this discussion feeling like we were both heard, we were both understood, we feel comfortable with this outcome, we both feel like we won, right? We're on the same team and we both got to win. And then number 11 is celebrate your victories. So even the little ones. When you go through this process or, you know, somebody comes into counseling, I always say to them, or coaching, it's like, just the fact that you're here is such a big deal because it takes courage to do that. You know, you need to celebrate this. You are working on your relationship. You are taking a step to help yourself. And honestly, the average time that a couple will seek help is 6 years. They'll wait for 6 years before they get help. So I would commend people, you know, celebrate those victories. And then number 12 is be quick to apologize and forgive. And I went pretty extensively into forgiveness a couple of podcasts ago. You know, being able to apologize and just own up to it and say, look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry I was wrong. I'm sorry I hurt you. Please forgive me. And then the willingness to let go of stuff and forgive. Because, you know, we always have a choice about how we react and treat people. And obviously, you can't fix anybody, right? You can't control them. You can't change them. But you really can work on yourself and ask for what you want and need from them and having some grace for the other person, being patient with yourself and being patient with each other. So those are the rules of engagement, and I hope that that was helpful for whoever's listening. They really are golden. I've been teaching them for 10 years, and I've always seen how it really helps when people start using them. I do offer a complimentary 30-minute consultation with anybody who is ever interested, who wants more information, who wants to share about their situation, and then I can share what I do and see if it's a good fit.